same boiling water that hardens an egg will also soften a potato. So it's not about the circumstances you're in, it's about what you're made of and how you act, how you behave in the environment that you're given. There's a lot of research around people that come from the same environment. Some succeed and others fail. Well, what is it? What causes some people to fold under pressure while other people thrive under that same pressure and grow and are even stronger? And there's a lot to do with mental performance and psychology and resilience. There's been a ton of studies over those kind of things. And it comes down to how you present yourself. One of my sayings that I really enjoy is, it's not the environment that matters, it's how you present yourself to your environment. So, sometimes you can do something about the environment, sometimes you can choose to be there or not. But really what it comes down to is, what are you made of and what are you going to use that's within you? The resilience that you have, the mental fortitude, the self-talk, all those things that have to do with how you're going to present yourself. Stop worrying about the environment quite so much and worry more about you and what you're going to do about it. Are you going to allow that environment to soften you up and you're going to be a victim of your circumstances? Or are you going to learn from it, learn how to thrive in it, use it as lessons? This is no reason to allow for excuses. It's not a reason to make excuses for people to treat you bad and deal with things that are unnecessary. Relationships, family environments. I see this a lot in family environments where just because you're close family, brother, sister, mother, father, whatever, that because you're close family, that gives me the right to treat you bad. No, it doesn't. There are some things that people allow when they shouldn't. But that's also part of that growth. How do you set healthy boundaries? How do you make sure that people understand what you are willing to tolerate and what you're not willing to tolerate? That's part of it. That's part of the resilience and the mental health and how you present yourself to your environment. I've had really difficult conversations with some people that are very close to me, and they disagree with me on this. I've even had one person for an extended period of time adamantly state that blood is thicker than water. That old saying that, family sticks together no matter what. I disagree. Just because we are related because of something that I can't control doesn't mean that I'm going to tolerate those things that are detrimental to my health and well-being. I'm not going to allow you to treat me a certain way. And I have other people that I know who are those peacemakers, and they're like, well, their family, I can set up boundaries, but I still have to, they're still part of my family. And the problem with being a peacemaker and a person that is willing to tolerate certain things is, at some point you're going to willingly tolerate intolerable behavior. You're going to make excuses for that bad behavior. And I'm not okay with that. Another problem that people run into is they understand these things. They understand the idea of mental fortitude and resilience and emotional regulation and all the things that go along with it, but they don't practice it. And anybody that's been involved in anything to do with sports or performing arts, if you don't practice ahead of time, you're not going to be good at game time or performance time. If I don't practice guitar, I'm not going to be able to go up on stage and play very well. If I don't practice a sport when I come into game time, I'm not going to do very well at that competition. Mental skills are the same way. If you don't practice the skills that allow you to be emotionally regulated, you're going to be more likely a victim of your emotional responses. It's why people have anger issues. They don't understand how to regulate themselves in circumstances that make them mad. They end up responding with this massive emotional anger response when it's not necessary. It's not effective. They are overreacting with anger. Even in the circumstances where maybe anger is an appropriate emotion to feel. A lot of people label anger as a negative emotion. I hate labeling emotions as positive or negative, because you can think of a time where feeling angry is appropriate. The imbalance, though, is what's concerning. Is, okay, you have the right to feel angry about somebody attempting to harm you or threatening to harm you or stealing things from you. Sorry, I'm trying not to get run off the road by this bus. So yeah, you should feel angry under certain circumstances. The main concern is, what are you trying to achieve? What's the outcome you desire, and how do you think and act appropriately even when you feel that strong anger response? That's where people get into trouble. They feel the anger response even when they're justified in their anger, but the response is so strong, the emotional response is so strong, they have trouble with the thinking clearly, and then the behaviors don't match the circumstances, and then maybe they go too far, or they react in a way that is inappropriate or counterproductive. Even if in a circumstance where you're justified in your anger, if you come back and you do something equally bad, well, now you're just as much in the wrong. And so understanding, when you have this idea of the environment is kind of irrelevant. It's how you present yourself to that environment. So the boiling water hardens an egg when it softens the potato. What will help one person in a circumstance versus what is harmful to another person? And it really comes down to those basic foundational ideas of mental performance, sport performance psychology, resilience training. And people want giant solutions to giant problems, but that's not how it works. The little things done consistently over a long period of time have the greatest impact. So you have to learn and apply the skills: self-talk, progressive muscle relaxation, breathing techniques, meditation, mindfulness. These are the things that are going to help you perform well under the circumstances, regardless of what the circumstances are. So you can be aware of what's going on in the environment, how it's affecting you, how it might affect you, what's happening. But it really comes down to, what are you doing internally to regulate yourself so that you can behave in a way that you're going to get the outcome you desire, regardless of the circumstances. But when you're under pressure is not the time to practice the things. You're not going to be very good at them at the time, especially with something that's already a problem for you. If you get frustrated or angry or even scared driving, well, you need to practice the skills you need so that when you go driving, you can implement the skills. You don't wait until you're scared to practice the thing. That's the time where you need to do the thing. And when you're having strong emotional and physical responses to a circumstance, to your environment, like, I'm confronted by somebody in a bar and I'm scared for my life. That's not the time to be like, okay, I need to breathe effectively. No, you're already having that fight or flight response. You need to practice it so that when you experience the fight or flight response, you know what to do, or anticipate things happening and proactively prepare yourself for the environment so that you can think and behave appropriately. And some of the feedback that I get from people is, oh, that's too Eastern philosophy and yoga and flowery, and oh, it's a bunch of weak stuff. You're talking about emotional triggers. That's for weak people. No, that's a biological reality. That is the reality of all of us. Every human has the same. There is only one biological fight or flight response, and we all have it. The only difference is how it affects you and to what intensity. It's not an if, but when. And the more you deny it, the more it's going to continue to affect you. You're just going to deny the effects. Then, therefore, and you can disagree with me all you want, but if you are allowing something to happen, you are now a victim of circumstance, even though you don't feel like a victim. Because an aggressor, in this instance, an aggressor is still a victim because you're allowing the environment and your biological response to affect you. That makes you a victim of the biological response. So even the tough guy mentality where, I'm going to bow up to somebody, or I'm going to fight somebody, or I'm going to respond in traffic, and I'm going to have all this anger and aggression, I'm going to feel like a tough guy, you are being a victim because you're refusing to acknowledge what's happening. You're refusing to take accountability, and you're refusing to learn how to not do those unhealthy behaviors. And that's, you look like a tough guy, but you're really a potato in boiling water. How's that for an image of the tough, insecure guy? And we use the example of the soft potato or the hard egg. It's not that the hard egg is right, because even, somebody having that hard shell, maybe that's the problem. It's just an analogy, right? It's more of the idea of the environment is going to do different things to different people. Are you going to be proactive so that your environment matters less and you can perform effectively regardless of the environment? Or are you going to be a victim of your circumstances and you're going to allow the environment to dictate what your response is going to be? I suggest you practice this stuff ahead of time so that you can be more proactive.